guess gotta see if it's recording. Hey, I'm Dave. I'm here to talk about Dave's Picks Volume 40. Now, I have a new camera, which has a new microphone, so it might sound a little different, it might sound the same. I don't know, but I guess you'll be the judge. It's extremely wavy, it's a little windy, but it's mostly wavy, and the tide is coming in. Actually, I started shooting this a few minutes ago, and then the tide came in. I don't know if you can see where my hand is, like right there. So yeah, the tide is coming in. You see there's a couple logs back here. It's funny, with this new camera, I can see what I'm doing because it's got one of those little turny things. So I've been watching the tide come in for like 10 minutes and it's coming in very quickly. So I had to move up a little bit and scrap that one. So you probably know I'm here to talk about Dave's Picks Volume 40. Unbelievable, the final installment from 2021 in the Dave's Picks series. This ends our 10th year of the Dave's Picks series. And what a run it's been. And we're actually extremely hard at work on number 41 and number 42 for next year. So that's in the works. So we're going to be heading into our 11th year pretty soon. We're very, very excited about that as well. So if you're watching this, you probably already know. If it sounds like I'm yelling, by the way, I'm not sure how much this wind and waves is drowning me out, so I just want to drown it out. And so you probably know by now that Dave's Picks Volume 40 is 2 complete shows, sort of. There's a caveat there, we'll get to that in a bit, but it's good news regardless. Similar to what we did with Dave's Picks 36 last year, you might remember the 2 Hartford shows from March 26th and March 27th of 1987. We're doing the same thing this year, except we're jumping ahead 3 years and a bit to the Deer Creek shows, July 18 and July 19, 1990. This is the penultimate stop on Brent Midland's tenure with the Grateful Dead. He would go on to Chicago a few days later for the 3 shows in Tinley Park at the World Amphitheater. And then shortly after that run of shows, unfortunately, Brent Midland passed away. I felt that I saw most of this tour, I saw all of this tour actually, starting in Eugene on June 23rd, 24th, great shows. Then there was about 10 days off, and then July 4th they started up again in Kansas. And the memory I have, I was 19 years old, and the memory I have most of all was started out at an amphitheater in Kansas City, and then stadiums for almost 2 weeks in Louisville, Pittsburgh, Raleigh, North Carolina, RFK Stadium, Foxborough, Buffalo. So stadiums are a challenge sometimes. The parking, the sight lines, the sound, all those kind of things. And then to come back to the cozy confines of Deer Creek, where we'd been a year earlier on July 15th of 1989. Same thing, it was a whole batch of summer tour stadium shows, and then we got to go to Deer Creek, which was like a nice little reward, which was always very cool. I'm just going to see if this is recording and it is. Sorry, it's a new camera, like I say, and I'll probably be adjusting to it, or it'll adjust to me, I don't know. So we've got, somebody back there taking a picture of this one. So it's a couple shows from, I thought, an extremely, extremely good tour. I really didn't get any vibe through the tour that anything was up with Brent, that he was going through some stuff, that he was having a rough time, which I think he was on this last tour. I did notice it on the second night in Chicago. I was up close, I had good seats. The rest of the tour I've been taping back in the taper section, so you don't really get to see it too close, but the middle night in Chicago, I was pretty close, and I remember thinking, this doesn't feel great. The energy coming from the stage. Music was pretty good, but the energy, whereas the Deer Creek shows I thought were jubilant and exciting and super fun. I really had a great time at the Deer Creek shows. So here's why we're doing 4 CDs, 2 complete almost shows. It's because originally when we started looking into doing something from the Deer Creek run for Dave's Picks 40, we had originally looked at the first show, July 18th, and then I talked with one of my very trusted advisors for weeks about this, and we decided, and I think that the July 19th show, while it doesn't have quite the attractive set list as the first night with the Help Slip Franklins and the Do and the 12 or 13 minute version of the other one and all sorts of things like that, on a performance level, the second night most certainly rivals it. And I think some of the peaks of the second night, throughout, rival and are some even better than the first night. So we were actually quite set to do the second show, which means someday down the road we would also do the first. It is a great show. It's a phenomenal show. Very, very strongly considered as this Dave's Picks. But then we started thinking, well, people really did seem to enjoy last year when we did the 4 CD, 2 complete Hartford shows. So I talked to the good people at Rhino and they agreed. They thought it was a cool thing to do. So that's what we've done, 2 complete shows. I'll get to it in a minute why it's not totally complete, but how we're going to remedy that someday. And so what you get from Deer Creek in 1990 are, to me, 2 exceptional shows at the very tail end of Brent Midland's time with the Grateful Dead. He passed away a week later on July 25th, I guess, 26th. And so a pretty wild time to be seeing the Grateful Dead, because just 6 weeks later in Richfield, Ohio, they were back on stage, but with a new keyboard player, with Vince Welnick. So it was most certainly an interesting time to be a Deadhead, to be seeing shows. And so we get to Deer Creek, and they open the first night with the aforementioned, and it's a monster version of it, Help Slip Franklin's. And the first set is filled with great music, including Minglewood and a beautiful Brent Midland, Easy to Love You. There's a Peggio. There is, what else is on there? It ends with a terrific sequence of Brown Eyed Women, Cassidy Deal. Talk about classic Grateful Dead going back to 1971 era stuff. All 3 of those are played incredibly well. The second set features China Rider, Looks Like Rain, Terrapin, and out of Terrapin, quite typical in 1990, they go into a really big jam coming out of Terrapin Station, and they go on for about 5 or 6 minutes jamming out of it before they go into Drums in Space. And after Drums in Space, instead of the usual kind of 3, 4, or even 5 songs and then an encore, there are only 2, but what a couple of songs they are. The other one, which clocks in, like I say, about 12 or 13 minutes, they start hinting it very, very early on, and then they keep it going, and then Phil has some beautiful bass rumble intros to the other one, and then they drop the other one into a gorgeous version of Morning Dew, a very powerful one. They did it previously a month earlier in Eugene, and I thought this one and that one very similar in terms of the power and energy, with a gorgeous encore of the band's The Wait, where we get to hear Brent sing a verse on it, which is great. It turned out to be the last song a week later in Chicago, 5 days later, would be the last song he ever sang with the Dead, was The Wait. So that's the first night, which is a magnificent show. By the way, the Dave's Picks do tend to sell out pretty quickly, so if you are watching this and you do want to get these Deer Creek shows, 2 complete shows on 4 CDs, almost complete, head over to dead.net and pick it up, because sometimes, I know the Hartford thing we did last year sold out in minutes, like less than a couple hours, or less than an hour even. So I would suggest you get it if you're interested. The second night, which again, an extremely powerful show, the second night opens up with just a huge Jack Straw, followed by They Love Each Other, which was a bit of a rarity in 1990. They'd previously done it in Eugene, and then they did it again here at Deer Creek. And after They Love Each Other is, in my opinion, one of the top 5 versions I've ever heard of Desolation Row. And it's amazing how well Bob sings it, as though it's his own, that he wrote these words. He lives this song, he's belting it out. It's all 6 guys are playing extremely well on it. Truly a magnificent version of Desolation Row. Some other great stuff in this first set include Great Road Jimmy, Picasso Moon with a ripping jam at the end, and then the first set ends with just a great version of Althea and Promised Land. Now the second set, everything in this second set are truly some of my favorite versions of these songs. It opens with Victim or The Crime with a big dissonant jam at the end of it that drops beautifully into Foolish Heart, which was quite common at the time, Victim, Foolish Heart, and then that drops into Playing in the Band, one of my favorites, as you know, which as it jams, it then falls into another bit of a rarity at this time, one of these things you didn't expect to see that often, China Doll. And China Doll then goes into another Garcia Hunter song, goes into Uncle John's Band. So I love when moments like that happen. Great Uncle John's Band, terrific jam at the end. Drums in Space, once again, bang on. The first night's Drums in Space, you got to check that out as well. Some really funny stuff happening during Space at these shows, you'll hear it. And then Out of Space, Watchtower, a huge version of Black Peter, and then one of my favorite standalone versions of Not Fade Away. I say standalone meaning it's not attached to Throwing Stones. So they did this occasionally. They would end a set with Not Fade Away, but coming out of the ballad as opposed to Throwing Stones into Not Fade Away. And this one, oh my goodness, to me it's up there almost with the one from Buffalo, New York a year earlier, the July 4th one. Really great stuff. Now the encore, here's this caveat I keep talking about of this being 2 complete shows. Towards the end of, well, at the end of Not Fade Away, unfortunately there's no room for the encore. So it is 2 complete shows with the exception of the encore from the second show, which is US Blues. But I'm here to tell you, that's the bad news. The good news is we are going to be putting that US Blues on something from the Dave's Pick series in 2022. I don't know if it'll be 41, probably be 41, 42, 43, something like that. But we will be putting the US Blues Encore on it. So if you get the Dave's Picks in 2022, you will then have these Deer Creek shows complete. This wasn't a gimmick or anything, it just wouldn't fit. We have jammed these CDs up to 80 minutes long, so there's really no extra room to put other things on them, including that encore of US Blues, which is too bad, but it is as it is. So what else can I tell you? Oh yeah, incredible soundboard recordings by Dan Healy. It was a little dry between songs, meaning you didn't really hear the crowd interaction and cheering between songs and stuff. So we've actually taken some audience recording from an audience tape and blended it in between songs a little bit, so you get more of a live feeling from the actual Deer Creek show. We didn't just randomly grab some audience from another show. It's from this show. So we kind of brought it to life a little more than a dry soundboard. The soundboard during the music sounds incredible, but adding this just brings it an extra level of bringing it to life. So we've done that. That's incredible. Jeffrey Norman, once again, has mastered this. Helen Kennedy, I can't say enough great things about Helen. She did the Dave's Picks cover art in 2021. William and Mary 78, Nassau Coliseum, Raven. Nassau Coliseum 73, the Philly Spectrums 83, and these Deer Creek shows. And in all 4 cases, she nailed it. We gave her very minimal direction, just not even direction. We kind of said, hey, I'd like this to kind of be the theme. If you can do that, I think this would be a cool thing. And it was that at most. And Helen took these ideas and this music and created some absolutely spectacular artwork. We've had, well, 40 great covers in this series. These 4 amazing. So check out Helen online. I'm sure she's easily found. Helen, thanks for doing such a great job. And then, of course, Mark Pincus, whose vision this whole thing was, along with Doran Tyson at Rhino. Thanks to them, and Yvette for coordinating, making it all happen. Steve Vance for, it's like an acceptance speech. Steve Vance for putting it all together. He's the layout designer and an amazing artist in his own right. Robbie Cohn Pictures from 1990. Thanks, Robbie. Liner notes. I think I wrote the liner notes. So no thanks to me. But yeah, so if you're watching this, I'd suggest heading over to dead.net because it will sell out quickly. I mean, probably within a couple days, possibly sooner. These are magnificent shows. These are truly A-level Grateful Dead shows that I would strongly encourage you pick up if you get a chance. If you like 1990 Brent era Grateful Dead, right at the tail end of Brent stuff. So I think that's all it is. I'm keeping this quick and brief, mainly because, sorry, I'm watching some birds flitter around behind me. Behind you, actually. Because I got to figure out this camera, but I think it's working. We'll see. Again, very wavy. These are incredibly big waves. I mean, it's a rough sea. I've been, it's now about 1 o'clock on a Saturday when I'm filming this, and I've been fishing since 6 this morning out on the ocean, and it was pretty choppy. Yeah, but it's good to be back on dry land with the waves behind me. Beautiful sunny day. It was supposed to rain today. Thank goodness it didn't, because I can come out and do my Seaside chat, and it's definitely Seaside. Pacific Ocean behind me. Big waves. The tide, like I say, is, yeah, I think it's coming in. Yeah. So thank you for watching, and thank you for supporting the Dave's Pick series over the last 10 years. We're heading into the 11th year, and it is a good one coming up. We've got the first 2 releases picked for 2022, and I think they're both incredible. I love it. And we've got a big year planned for 2022. So big, in fact, that we actually had to move a couple of projects we had planned for next year into 2023. That's how big a year it is next year. So stick around. And thank you for joining me. I hope you liked the video, and I really think you're gonna like this Dave's Picks. I've got another thing to show you. Yeah, show and tell. This is a remote control for my new camera. So I think I don't have to walk around and kind of turn it off. Oh, The sky just looks amazing. Sorry about that. So I can actually just click this button and shut the camera off. I guess we'll figure out if this works or not. But yeah, let's tune in. Actually, we'll have another video soon when we announce our Dave's Picks 2022 subscriptions, which should be pretty soon. I'll do another one of these videos for it. But thank you again for watching. And once again, thank you for supporting the Dave's Picks series. We keep doing it because you keep digging it. And as long as you do, we'll keep putting them out. We've got some great ideas. No end in sight. There's a lot of great music still in the vault. So again, I'm Dave. Dave's Picks Volume 40. 2 shows at Deer Creek, 1990, July 18 and 19. Complete shows, almost. Check them out on dead.net, and we will see you here next time. I'm going to click this button and see if the camera shuts off.